A lot of people ask, can I serve in the National Guard or Reserves and have a civilian job? The answer is yes, but here's what they don't tell you. So the Reserves and National Guards is built for dual careers, meaning you can balance both. So Reserves and Guard members typically serve 2 days out the month, which is 1 weekend a month, Saturday and Sunday. However, there are times where, like if you go to the gun range, that'll be like a 4-day drill. AT is like a 2-week drill. Certain missions that you go on, and your drilling unit will probably be like a 3-day or 4-day, but most times it's 1 weekend a month. So there's a lot of people out there with civilian careers like teachers, IT, whatever. You may work for a big company, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. They drill on the side, so you can balance both. So one of the common questions that I get about being in the Reserves or National Guard and having a civilian job is, will I lose my job if I deploy? Can I get time off? So USAREC protects your job legally. How to manage both: communicate your drill schedule early. So when you're in the Reserves, and I'm sure it's like that in the National Guard, you'll have a yearly drill schedule, and it'll have the dates of all your drills. You can give that to your employer, so that way they know ahead of time when you will need time off. And legally, they have to abide by that. They can't just fire you. So I remember when I was in the process of, putting in my OCS packet, I was working at a company called Assurian. And whenever I needed to do something, military related, like do things with my recruiter and stuff like that, even though I didn't have a drill schedule because I wasn't drilling yet, I just had to show them some type of military document that I was in the process of going to the military part-time. So therefore I could come back after my training if I wanted to. I chose not to though, but if I wanted to. So they will excuse me for the time that I needed. I would just have to have a memo written by my recruiter and bring it when I return to work. And I still got paid those days from my civilian job. So you just want to make sure once you start drilling at your unit that you just communicate, ahead of time with your employer. As long as you keep them informed ahead of time, you should be fine. And the benefits of, having a civilian job and being able to drill is military pay plus civilian salary, healthcare options, retirement benefits, and skill building for both careers. That is a really good, opportunity. The challenges is time conflicts, but it really shouldn't be if you communicate ahead of time with your employer. You don't want to give any short notices, but sometimes there will be short notice missions. So that's when conflicts can come about, because a lot of times what I found that the drill schedules may change. Even though they have a schedule for it, at the last minute they may change some of them. So that's when you need to communicate with your employer and maybe have some type of memo written by your commander to give to your employer. And during busy seasons, it can get, it can get very overwhelming, trying to drill, especially when you're going out to the field like AT, and then, the high crazy demands of your civilian job. It can be a lot because it's like working 2 jobs, even though drill's only like 2 weekends out the month. But like I said, it's going to be times where you do more than that. It can get very stressful, but to make it easier on yourself, you just want to make sure that you try to plan to the best of your ability and just communicate. So one of my biggest tips would be is to just stay organized. Be as organized as you possibly can. Update your employer on orders, and you also want to update your commander in case you need to do something for your civilian job, and maybe you can't make it to drill or something like that. You just want to make sure that you update, communicate, stay organized. And you want to keep a copy of your LES and your orders for HR. That is extremely important. So just make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's and doing everything you can possibly do on your end. And for the most part, you know, you shouldn't really have many challenges. And the good thing is, if you really need to do something for your civilian job, you know, because I know, honestly, and I'm going to be honest, your civilian job is priority over the reserves, because the reserves is only paying you 2 days out the month versus your civilian job is your bread and butter. That's how you pay your bills. You know what I'm saying? So that is the priority, and the Army knows this. So don't jeopardize your civilian job for the reserves. You know, just make sure that you're communicating properly with both, so that you don't run into any issues. There might be challenges, and that's just life. You know, just make sure you do all you can do on your end to make the process smoother, to make your life easier. And however, sometimes, you know, you can be excused from drill. A lot of people get excused from drill, and then you can make it up at a later date. That's also an option. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. Again, like always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave value. I hope I answered some of your questions. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Or you can go over to my Instagram, and I answer a lot of questions over there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.